So today we're going to do tips on this reciprocating saw. It's got a lot of names, but the basic name is reciprocating saw. And I'm going to show you a few things I've learned over the years. First of which is you can get the most out of this when you don't let it get bound up. And the best way to do that is while you cut, let the material either fall away or be careful where the pressure point is behind the blade. One important thing is to make sure that you are pushed against this stopper plate. If you're out here in the air, you're going to get a messy cut. Make sure your plate is pushed up firmly against the material. And make sure as you cut, your material falls away. This is usually used for dismantling stuff. It's not necessarily used for clean cuts. Keep shims nearby. As you partially get downward into a cut, stick a shim in it. That'll keep it from binding back on the blade. Before the material starts to close in on the blade, stick a shim in there. And everything will fall away. This is typically needed most often when this piece of wood is between uprights or is integrated into a wall system of frames. That's when you're going to get binding like that. So keep a shim nearby. Another important thing to do when you use this saw is to take your time and cut slowly. There's no reason to go full speed all the time. Get your cut started slowly. And in some cases, just keep moving slowly and you'll get a better result. By going slowly, you're going to keep your blade cool and you won't overheat it. That's when blades go dull, is when they get overheated, especially when you're trying to cut through old nails. Cut slow and steady. In some cases, you might have to pull the blade out, let it cool off, and then try to finish your cut after you let the blade cool off. Most reciprocating saws have the ability to go slow, which is important for this next tip, which is to do plunge cuts. You need to start slow and steady as you work your way through the material. Sometimes you need to access the inside of the middle of a wall or the middle of a floor, and you can't come in from the edge, so you got to put a plunge cut there. And we'll do that right now. I'll show you. As I'm doing my plunge cut, I'm kind of pulling it towards myself a little bit, staying further and further away from the furthest, most extended part of where the blade would hit. Then as I get through the material, now I can use the full girth of the blade, cut all the way this way, turn around and cut all the way that way.
Each end.
At this point, you want to get in there with a file or maybe a jigsaw to get a cleaner cut. But you could see how you could start from a flat surface with no edge and make a hole inside of a wall or a floorboard or something like that. These reciprocating saws with a metal cutting blade are the best thing, in my opinion, to break down a pallet. What you do is you slide between all the material and cut the nail heads. And the blade will go where there's the least amount of resistance, and that is in between the two pieces of material. So it's very rare that the blade's going to go up or down into a whole piece of material. It's going to stay in between and cut all those nail heads, and then you pop out the nail heads later with a nail set. Let's watch. Slow and steady. You don't want to overheat the blade by cutting the nails. Medium pressure. Now that we cut all the boards apart, the nail parts are still in there. We want to get them out before you run them through the planer. So here I'm just using a long screw, or you just use a nail set and push those through to the other side to come out. And they come out easy because they're all now shorter. And I like doing this practice with the reciprocating saw because then you don't break your boards up. Trying to pry it apart, you end up destroying a lot of the boards. You see how they're all still intact. Spike, clear the table. Thanks, buddy. Sometimes you got to hold the handle like this, but you got to cut over your head, up and behind you. So in many cases, on many saws, you should be able to just flip the blade over. I got this. No, I don't need help. And then there you can cut up. Sometimes you can use the side of your blade as a scraper. Let me demonstrate. We're going to have to get in a little close over here, Mr. Cameraman. So you might need to do that just to get rid of some material. Maybe you have a tight squeeze and you want to make it fit a little better. But you could use that as a shaving tool. Thank you to Lowe's for sponsoring this tips video, and thank you to Spike for cleaning up after each mess I made. And always be careful when you use your reciprocating saw. Always wear safety glasses. Thank you for watching.